Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Tuesday, the 6th of August. It is game day. Huge match taking place in Poland tonight, and to look forward to that, I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How's it going, Chris?
A somewhat low-key return to European action, I fear for Rangers. I was looking at some of the comments just while I was waiting on you turning up this morning, going through some of the early comments on the show. Safe to say there's not a lot of optimism on the channel, not a lot of optimism on Rangers social media this morning, but I'm sure, as we'll come on to talk about, it's a great opportunity for Rangers. If they can somehow come back to Glasgow with a result, it gives us a shot at Hampden next week. So an interesting evening ahead, if one a lot of people will perhaps be watching from behind their respective sofas.
Yep, it's going to be a tough test, but I think that they're all pretty challenging games at this stage of the competition. Rangers taking on the team that demolished Partizan Belgrade 9-2 on aggregate in the previous round. The match tonight will be interesting. It's a weird scenario where both sides will be playing away from their respective homes for the two matches. Joshua is out in Poland for us, and we'll have all the game coverage for you coming your way a little later on, folks. Of course, it was press conference day yesterday. You were on, Chris, with Joshua to discuss the main talking points from what the manager had to say. I think the big takeaways for those that never tuned in: Oscar Cortez injury, 4 to 5 weeks. And it will be interesting to see who replaces him tonight. Robin Propper is fit, but he's apparently had a busy few days settling into life in Glasgow off the pitch. Will we see him tonight? Who knows? Anything else that struck out at you, what the manager said yesterday?
I think pressure-wise, it was really just the importance of Champions League football. Myself and Josh spoke last night. Even if Rangers don't reach this new league format this season in terms of the Champions League, just making it through this tie is worth around about £5 million to them potentially. That when there is as much work needing done over the course of the remaining weeks of the transfer window, that £5 million could go a long way, could make a difference between Rangers getting one, potentially two players in. Those one or two players could make a big difference come the end of the campaign. So I think it's a tie that a lot of people aren't overly enthusiastic about Rangers' chances. It's actually interesting. You saw the reaction to the draw for the playoff round yesterday afternoon, and almost any other season in recent years, I think Rangers would have been heading into the third round and then looking ahead to that playoff round, thinking we've got a realistic chance. The draw has been kind to us, if you like. We've got a realistic chance of getting through to the Champions League. I think it just feeds into the general mood of the summer, the mood after Tynecastle at the weekend. The fans aren't overly optimistic about what will unfold over the next 90 minutes tonight, and then also the game at Hampden next week.
Yeah. So you can read what the manager had to say over on the website, folks. The link is in the description below as well. Interestingly, Joshua also asked him on Yanis Hadji's future. What I'll do is I'll bring up the clip as to what he had to say about that.
You've not heard much about this pre-season. Is he someone who's still in your plans this season?
No, we had clearly talks with him before the pre-season already, and with his agents about that. And we need to look, like I said, in a lot of things with the club, about wages, about how many players you can in a position with the budget we have, and to get a budget to make transfers. So it was really clear towards him that the idea is to sell him. That's what he wanted also. So that's the clear situation.
So he and Cantwell looking for moves away from the club, Chris, which is why we haven't seen him. I know he played in the B team fixture yesterday against Middlesbrough, Yanis Hadji, but he's someone, I don't think it comes as any surprise that he will be moving on this summer. A lot of noise, of course, in the last couple of weeks that Fiorentina were edging closer to a move, but I don't think they've met Rangers' valuation just yet. But what do you make of Clement's words on that?
I think it obviously ties into the number 10 issue that we've spoken about quite a few times over the last few weeks. I had a piece on it on the site 3-4 weeks ago, maybe, looking at the options that Clermont has in that number 10 area. And for me, you can upgrade on all of them. You look at someone like Alec Lowry falling down the pecking order. It's hard to see him making an impact. That then brings you into Dowell, Lawrence, Hadji, not really at it. Todd Cantwell was obviously the kind of main figure in that number 10 role, if you like. He's decided that he wants to move on as well. So I think if Rangers can get as much back through the door in terms of transfer fees for a number of those players and then reinvest that, and it's not just a case of you go and you bring one in. I think you're looking at two at least to give you a bit of strength and a bit of depth in that area. It looks like the manager will stick with this system. He's going to persist with that number 10 role. If he is, certainly in the bigger games, Rangers need a real upgrade in terms of that area. You're not going to win Old Firm games with Tom Lawrence playing at number 10. Looking ahead to tonight, short of midfield options, you're probably not going to win the game tonight with Tom Lawrence playing at number 10. I think he's had a decent start to the season. Pre-season, it was fine, but you're looking at Rangers really need to upgrade in those areas. And as much as I like Hadji, he has been he's a very good player for Rangers. I think over his career, he's had some memorable moments. As I said to Josh last night, that knee injury really just it was the beginning of the end. Unfortunately, never looked like really coming back from that situation with Michael Beale. We then had to head out on loan, and that loan didn't really scream out, "I'm coming back to play at Rangers." It was very low key. Didn't have the impact that he wanted. He did have a good Euros, which is pleased for him about. But he will obviously now move on, and it's about Rangers getting as significant a fee as they possibly can and using the wages from Hadji, certainly from Cantwell and whoever else moves on from that area, to go and really try and inject a bit of strength and depth into that number 10 position.
Yeah, it was an interesting point coming in from CGM55 just on Hadji. Says, I get Hadji wants away. He's miffed with the club after he's punted out in loan, but he's better than Lawrence and Dill as a 10. Arguably probably is better than both of those players, but he wants away. That's a fact of the matter. I don't think he was best pleased at it being sent out on loan last season under Michael Beale, but of course that season-long loan didn't quite happen for him over in Spain, so he will be moving away. I think he could probably do a job this evening, but of the two, I think listen, I've said it before, I'd scrap the number 10 for especially matches like this. I don't think it'll serve Rangers well. In terms of the predicted lineups, Chris, we're going to put them out after the match, which will be interesting. Of course, we touched on no Oscar Cortez. In terms of the back line, I spoke about Robin Proper and what the manager had to say about him. I'll read you what his quotes on Proper, folks. He was asked, is he fit enough to start? He's fit, but of course he'd come in and there's a lot of things to do in that moment. I think Brexit didn't help in that way. And I know from experience, you have to fill in so many papers to come into Scotland and to live here. You need to find a house and you need to find a school for your kids. There's a lot of things going on in his head also this week because he's just had a few days with us. So that's something to take into consideration for the game tomorrow. It's the same with Vaclav. He had a 4-week holiday and he has now had 4 days of training with us. So it's with them looking at what is the right moment to start with them, what is the right moment to let them come in. Based on that, doesn't sound like Robin Proper's going to start the game, Chris, but given what we witnessed at Tynecastle, Rangers look very susceptible at the back. I would be I think Leon Balogun plays tonight, and I would be tempted to play Robin Proper alongside him. Two fullbacks, Ridvan and Tavernier. Would you agree with that, or would you go with someone else?
I'm hoping that the manager's keeping his cards close to his chest, and maybe he's not generally one to play selection mind games, but I'm hoping he's just being a bit cute in terms of answering that question. This game is significant for a number of reasons for Rangers. If you sign a centre half last week, I think the fans are right to expect him to come in and play in a game of this magnitude. It's not as if he was signed yesterday morning, bundled straight onto a plane, and then taken out to Poland. He's been around the club, not for a long time, obviously, but he's been around for a few days. He was in the squad that travelled through to Tynecastle, took part in the warm-up at Tynecastle. I'm hoping it is just the manager being cute and maybe trying to be a bit clever with that one. If Proper doesn't make it and doesn't play, then I think questions will be asked. I think the fans would be right to ask those questions about why he was brought in but then wasn't able to play in this game. Because you look at the defence over the course of pre-season, nowhere near good enough. Yes, they got a clean sheet at Tynecastle at the weekend, but there are real issues there. That centre-half pairing of Suter and Davies, that is not going to do the job for Rangers over the course of a season. I wouldn't be surprised if Balogun starts. I think he has to come in. If Proper doesn't make it, then I think it's Suter and Balogun. If Proper does make it, it's the same back four for me that you picked, and obviously Jack Butland in goal. Now, Rangers, they need to put their strongest team on the pitch tonight. Proper has to start if he can. Cherney has to start if he can. We know there's going to be a problem wide left. There's areas of the squad that are still weak. But Rangers have to try and get their best players on the pitch tonight because, again, as myself and Josh spoke about last night, this is a Kyiv side that we have to remember scored 9 goals in two games. To reach this round, they will fancy their chances tonight. And if Rangers leave themselves too much to do, going back to Hampden rather than going back to Ibrox with everything that comes with that, it could be a short-lived Champions League experience, unfortunately.
Yep, absolutely. Incidentally, if you want to learn a wee bit more about tonight's opponents, I did speak to a Ukrainian football expert, folks, Adam Pate, who covers Ukrainian football in great detail. It gave us an idea of what Rangers will be facing this evening and a bit about Dynamo Kyiv as well over the last few years. They're looking to make an impact on Europe once again after a few years not really doing much on the European scene. So, an intriguing contest awaits. I think Rangers certainly with a job on their hands tonight and next week, of course, when we get them back to Hampden or a second leg on August the 30th. Incidentally, if Rangers do manage to progress, Chris, we now know who the upcoming opponents will be with the Champions League group stage. The prize on offer, and it will be the winners of either Red Bull Salzburg or FC 20. I can see it now. FC 20 with Sam Lammers lining up against Rangers. Of course, Rangers just ready 20 for their skipper. I think it's got all the makings of a 20 Rangers playoff tie. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead at this moment in time. But just on the face of it, that draw, I think any team, as I touched on at the top of the show, is going to be difficult. But I think you look at it on paper, if Rangers can get their house in order, they should have a good chance of having a crack at it if they get past tonight and next week.
It looks like one of those ties that's written in the stars. Now, Sam Lammers coming back to Glasgow, Robin Proper heading back to the club that he just left as captain. There's a lot to like and a lot to write about and speak about in terms of that tie. But Rangers have to take care of business against Kyiv first and have to get through this one. As I said earlier on, I think if you look at so many years, certainly during the Gerrard time and at times in previous or in seasons after that, Rangers would have fancied their chances of getting through these two ties. But I think that optimism has been really reined in and really tempered this season just because of the state of the squad, the mood of the fans, the knowledge that there's just so much work still to be done to make this squad fit for purpose. I think if everyone is honest, this is not a Champions League squad. There's very, very few Champions League level players in there. Never mind a Champions League level squad as a whole. But as the manager touched on last night, the financial ramifications of it are huge for Rangers, especially when you know across the city those checks are already on their way to Parkhead, and that's the situation that Rangers have put themselves in, because season after season they've not done the job domestically, and they are then counting the cost of that in terms of the European aspirations. You can only do that for so long before the gap becomes even tougher to bridge than it already is. Rangers, for many millions of reasons, could really do with a Champions League bounty landing this season, but that then comes on the flip side of, is this squad good enough to even pick up a couple of results in this new league phase, or is it going to be like it was under Gio? Very, very hard European games that then feeds into domestic, that then takes the spring out the step, and then ultimately curtails your domestic ambitions as well. So it's a really tricky situation for Rangers. You need a higher level of player to compete at this level. To get that higher level of player, you need to be there anyway to get the money. So it's difficult for the manager. But again, I think as he touched on last night, he has punched above his weight in this competition. You look back to some of the results that he achieved with Bruges. He's spoken about that a couple of times, his Champions League and European experiences. I don't think he'll be fearing either of those ties, but he must be fully aware that this squad is just not at right now, it's not at the level required.
Yep, and you factor in the Ibrox situation as well, not playing at Ibrox. Listen, it's going to be a tough task, but just on tonight's opponents, Craig Hunter gets in touch. He says Kyiv took advantage of some horrific Partizan defending, sitting familiar, and got lucky with quite a few of their goals over the two legs. They also looked a bit vulnerable at the back. Defensively, I've been told that is where Rangers can look to exploit Dynamo Kyiv. But in terms of sort of the back line, Chris, in midfield, Diamandine Barron surely start the game tonight. I did say I would scrap the 10. If Dujon Sterling is fit, he starts for me in the middle of the park. That is a big question mark if he is fit enough to feature in tonight's game. Would that be your midfield trio? Do you get Tom Lawrence in there?
No, Sterling gets the nod for me, pending, as you say, pending fitness. If he's able to get through an hour, 65, 70 minutes, he has to start. That obviously involves that number 10 position vanishing, if you like. I would certainly go for them with a slightly deeper, more solid midfield three. If Sterling doesn't make it, I think Lawrence starts. I would then still have him playing slightly deeper. I think Rangers have to do something. They have to do something different to give themselves more of a foothold. They have to be more difficult to play against. They have to be more difficult to play through. And I think that a lot of that is to do with the midfield setup. But I think if Sterling was fit, it would be a real bonus. So you've then got that back four that I think we both agree on. That midfield three that we both agree on. Czerny has to start on the right. Dessers is obviously going to start through the middle, and then comes down to left back. Who are you plumping for on that wide left?
Well, I've seen a few comments saying Rabbi Matondo should get the nod, but there's few as well saying that perhaps this is the night for Jefte. Of course, brought in as a left back, can play at left wing as well. Scott's World are right on cue, says Jefte in it at left wing. Is that something we could possibly see tonight, Chris? Would you like to see it?
I think it's a possibility because there is no standout option. There is no obvious replacement for Oscar Cortes. And as myself and Josh spoke about last night, that's not just a problem for this game. That's a problem for the next 4 or 5 weeks, as the manager outlined when he gave that timescale last night. You've got a problem for the return leg. You've got a problem for the game at Hampden on Saturday. You've got a problem for the League Cup. You've got a big problem for the Old Firm game coming up as well. So I don't think there's an obvious, that's a ready-made replacement. You're looking at Scott Wright. I don't think that'll be the case. Ross McCausland also didn't make the squad at the weekend. Left side is not really his best slot. Czerny has made it very clear that he plays off the right-hand side, and that's why he's been brought in. So I don't think you'll see McCausland going right and switching Czerny. You really want to see Czerny in his natural and best position, so he stays on the right-hand side. I think Matondo will probably get it. From what I've seen of Hefty so far, he does look very direct. He's certainly quick. He covers the ground well. His main attributes do look to be attacking ones rather than defensive ones. That defensive side of the game is something he is going to have to work on. He will have to improve if he's going to become a proper Rangers left back. But I think as Josh had in his scouting report when he signed, he does look capable of playing slightly further up the pitch. And then you have to remember, it's a game where Rangers might not see that much of the ball, so there's every chance that he finds himself actually being drawn slightly deeper into the park anyway. I don't think it's going to be a game where Rangers dominate possession and the two wingers are going to be able to stay and play high and wide for large parts of it. They will have to come back and have Rangers a bit more of a solid shape. So Hefty could well come in there. I would be surprised if he gets a nod from the start. I think it's probably Matondo from the start, but you would imagine that Hefty will have a part to play over the 90 minutes, and certainly over the tie and over these next couple of weeks now.
Yep. A few comments as well saying Hamza Igaman, good to see him in training, incidentally, in that Rangers TV clip. He is part of the Champions League squad as well. I would be surprised to see him leading the line. I've got to say Cyril Dessers will get the nod, and let's just hope he can put in the sort of display we witnessed at the game you were at, Chris, against Union Berlin, when he took his 2 goals really well. If any chances come his way, we need him to be well and truly at the top of his game for this one. For those of you wanting to watch the match as well, it will be shown on Premier Sports. It's a 7 p.m. kickoff as well. Their coverage starts at 6:55. So, there's smashing in 5 minutes a build-up to that one, but at least we get to watch the game. Of course, Joshua will be at Lublin in the stadium for us. So we'll have the usual pre-match build-up show with when the teams drop. We'll come on and discuss that, and then we'll be on as well post-match to discuss what we hope will be a positive result for Rangers. I watched the game at the weekend, Chris, at Tynecastle. I've seen a lot of people. Second half, I'm thinking just take the point and get out of there. Rangers were not playing well whatsoever, and that seems to be the general assessment of what we witnessed at the weekend. I think it could have been worse. You take the point and you move on. But as we touched on this game, I think this could well be a step too far for this Rangers side. But certainly you left Tynecastle with perhaps more questions than answers.
I think John Suter was asked about it post-match at Tynecastle. He was the player that he came in for the press conference, and there's also a lot of looking ahead to Tuesday night, even on Saturday afternoon. And he did say that Rangers will have to step it up, and he was confident that they could do. There is a lot of room for improvement for Rangers. I think it's safe to say. The manager mentioned pre-match that the squad right now is in a weaker position than it was this time previously. I think that's a fair assessment. There is still a lot of work to be done on this group. That's not to say that Rangers can't step it up. That's not to say that they are completely incapable of getting a result tonight, and that they are incapable of going through this tie. This is a winnable tie, and they can reach the next round. And if they could do, what a difference it would make to the mood, what a difference it would make to confidence levels. It would just give everyone something to buy into, something to cling on to almost, because we know all too well that when the season doesn't start well, we know that things can snowball. We know the mood of the fans. We know that there's a whole other range of issues that are in play at present. Ibrox obviously being the main one. So there's a lot to contend with for the manager, but ultimately all he can focus on is making this team better. Every training session, every match, every week, we need to start seeing signs of improvement. If those signs of improvement come soon, then it would make such a huge difference to the mood, to the momentum. If those signs of improvement don't come, then people will rightly ask questions. So this first phase of the season, it's always difficult. When you have to start the league campaign well, when you have these European qualifiers, we know what's at stake in these first few weeks. I do believe that Rangers will be better. They will be in a far better place come the end of the window. But it's what can they do between tonight and that stage? What is going to unfold over these next 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks? And what position will they be in after the window closes? Is the season still going to be live, or are they going to be facing a real uphill struggle? Fingers crossed they're not facing that struggle. And I say a win tonight would certainly point things in a far healthier position.
Yeah, it sure would. Thanks to William and a few others as well. The game also on Rangers TV tonight. So if you can, stick Rangers TV on to watch the team in action. Alex Kelly gets in touch. We'll be watching from the Bluebells Bar in Lanzarote tonight. Come on, the Rangers. Wish it was me, Alex, and Barry Smith as well. Gets in touch. Any chance you can give a shout to my mate Cooper. I support massive Rangers lad. Yeah, no problem at all, buddy. And thanks for tuning in. Ian with the point. We'll get to it. Chris and Derek, predictions, please. I'd be happy with a draw in this game, I've got to say, or a narrow defeat. The heart says I'm going to go 1-1, Chris. I don't know, maybe if I'm being a little bit optimistic with regards to that. I can't see Rangers winning the game, but if they can keep themselves alive, then I'll take that. What's your feeling on tonight?
You disappoint me, Derek. I thought you were going to go something outlandish and go go for a 3-0 Rangers or something there. If even you're not optimistic, I can't bring myself to
that. There's nothing in me that I've seen that brings me to think that Rangers are going to go there and wipe the floor with Kyiv. But unfortunately, I don't have anything in me. Let us know though, folks. What's your predictions? What are you going to go for? Do you feel there's a battle fever well and truly on? I'm not feeling it just now, Chris. I've got to admit.
No, I think we've been keeping an eye on the comments as we've been doing the show. I don't think there's a lot of battle fever, it has to be said, in the comments this morning. But I will take Lee's first one there. I think we'll go for a 1-1 tonight. I'd be surprised if it's a comfortable night for Rangers. Just on what we've seen so far. Do see a few people coming in saying 2-1 Rangers, and they're slightly more optimistic. But I think as long as the tie is live, that's also the most important thing. If Rangers do something really silly tonight, and it's then dead heading back to Hampden, then that would be a real surprise. I don't see that happening. As much as we're not overly optimistic about it, it would be a real surprise if Rangers, do something really silly and play themselves out of contention within this 90 minutes. I don't see that happening. I think there will be a step up from Saturday. Hopefully, both Proper and Cherny are able to come in as we spoke about earlier on. And I think if Rangers can come back to Glasgow with a 1-1, that would then give them a really good chance of going through into that next round. And also really interesting to see what does Hampden look like on a European night for Rangers. Now, how many times have we spoken over the last few seasons about the Ibrox factor, and you would fancy your chances against anyone. You go away like the run to Seville, you go away, you keep yourself in the tie, you bring it back to Ibrox, and some magical nights. I don't think Hampden will carry that same sense of magic, but it would also represent an opportunity for Rangers to help make Hampden feel a bit more like home if they could, since they keep themselves in the tie tonight, and then have a big performance and a big result at Hampden next week. That would, it would just make people feel a bit more at home here, and maybe not then fearing what's to come over the next few weeks or few months before we actually end up back at Ibrox. That'll do us there then, folks. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in as ever. Just a quick word for the podcast sponsors before I forget. MPH Boilers, the award-winning family-run business covering all of mainland Scotland. If your boiler is on the blink, then they've got those brilliant Viessmann boilers on offer. Please do give them a call if that is something that is on your mind. The all-important link is in the description below. Right, we'll be back a little later on. Remember, 7 o'clock kickoff for the game tonight, UK time. So we will be on around just a little before 6, myself and Joshua, to react to tonight's Rangers team. Let's hope it's a positive result on the way in this big Champions League double header. But we'll wrap it up there, folks. If you want to read what everything that Philip Clon and incidentally Leon Balogun had to say yesterday, head over to the website and the full Q&A is there. Right, we'll speak to you later. Bye for now.